get to see more quality players with the mindset that we look forward to in the years to come.
Adenike, last words from our parliamentarians. Let me start with Segun Agbede.
Mr. Speaker, it's been an absolute pleasure to be part of the production today. It's novel, it's new, and as I said earlier, it's a new normal. And may Samuel Okparaji's gentle soul continue to rest in peace. I pray that I was going to say the new sports minister, it's not so new anymore, it's been there for some time. Sunday Dare can take over, sit on board, celebrate the dead as we are celebrating Samuel Okparaji, but then appreciate the living as we'll appreciate Emmanuel Okala. That for me is most important. Football Hall of Fame, whenever it must be done. It must be done, and the time to do it is now.
For me, I'll just say to Chief Emmanuel Okala, thank you very much for what you have done to put the name of Nigeria right on top. Wish you a happy birthday, and we look forward to celebrating you next year as you mark your 70th birthday. To the family of Sam Okparaji, we say thank you for producing a national hero for us, and we pray that his soul will continue to rest in peace.
I'm very, very optimistic that in future we will have the likes of Sam Okparaji come out of the surface of this earth to Nigerians who are dedicated, passionate, and are willing to give their role to Nigeria. Not that they don't have to die for Nigeria on the pitch. I mean, that should be corrected. And I would like to say happy birthday to our legend, Emmanuel Okala, for giving the very best. I mean, it's not very common to see very tall people do football so well. And he did that to the admiration of many. He's a legend, and I think that by this time next year, hopefully the sports minister is listening. We should celebrate our legends while they're still alive. Happy birthday to you, our legend.
Is Obrute ready?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes. And please, as you round off, please move a motion for us to reassemble in Parliament next week. Okay, over to you.
First of all, I would like to ask Dr. Tando that the Nigerian Sports Award creates an award and name it the Patrick Okala Award as well as the Samuel Okparaji Award. And
Emmanuel Okala.
Yes, Emmanuel Okala and Samuel Okparaji Awards. Okay. And I would also like to move a motion that we meet via Zoom again next week on the Sports Parliament.
All those in favor of that motion, because my gavel is here, don't think I don't have it. All those in favor, raise your hands. All those against, put down your hands. The ayes have it.
Yet we are united in our diversity. All over the world, Nigerians are known to be very hardworking and resilient people. In our history as a nation, there have been many storms, but just like the eagle, we always soar very high above the storms. Together as a nation, we stood against Ebola virus disease in 2014, and we conquered. Together as a nation, we shall stand against COVID-19 and we shall surely triumph. Let's do our part as citizens, obey the health authorities, stay at home, practice social distancing and proper hygiene. When this is over, and very soon it will be, we shall dance again at the Calabar Carnival, the Eyo Festival, Celebration, Ojudeoba Festival, and Aragongo Festival. When this is over, and very soon it will, we shall flock the beaches again. We shall attend our music concerts again. We shall invite the world once again at the Lagos City Marathon. When this is over, and very soon it will be, we can return to our hustle and bustle. We will gather at our churches and mosques. We shall return to our schools and institutions. Our hope is alive. We are Nigeria. And together, we shall rise again. Nigeria Film Corporation. Powering possibilities.
Do you not?
Nigeria's COVID-19 cases exceed 7,000. INEC in race conduct successful elections in Edo and Ondo states amid this pandemic. Caused on Good afternoon. And you're on to Panorama from the Benin Network Center. There are now 7,016 cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. This is because 339 new confirmed cases were announced by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control Thursday night. A breakdown shows that Lagos has 139, Kano 28, Oyo 28, Edo 25, Katsina 22, Kaduna 18, Jigawa 14, while Yobe and Plateau 13 each. Others are FCT 11, Gombe 8, Ogun 5, Bauchi and Nasarawa 4 each. Delta is 3, Ondo 2, while Rivers and Adamawa have 1 each. Those discharged nationwide are 1,907 and 211 deaths. The currently active cases are 4,898 out of the 40,043 persons tested as at midnight the previous day. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 has urged state governments and other sub-national entities to diligently implement all guidelines and refrain from relaxing restrictions which could be set back the gains already made in the fight against COVID-19. Kenneth Nanim reports that Chairman of the PTF, Boss Mustafa, is urging citizens to take responsibility on personal hygiene during Salah holidays.
With a global record of 106,000 COVID-19 cases within 24 hours, recently announced by the World Health Organization as the highest since the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 believes that the coronavirus is still very much around and citizens must strictly adhere to all precautionary measures against its spread.
As we celebrate, we want to once again caution on the need to wear a mask, keep physical distancing, avoid large congregations, avoid unnecessary interstate travels, and observe personal hygiene, amongst other suggested safety measures.
Within state borders, the restrictions relating to reduced occupancy for buses, taxis, and tricycles will be maintained.
We're thinking about community management. We're thinking about home isolation. We haven't come out with any definite policy on this, but we are thinking about these things because we have to.
Urging citizens to desist from purchase and consumption of chloroquine as cure for COVID-19. Health Minister says intake of chloroquine has not been certified by relevant authorities. He also advised state governments to take seriously issues of contact tracing and surveillance to increase daily testing.
I also advise those who are taking the test and are waiting result to heed the advisory to self-isolate yourselves in your homes until you get your result, and in order to be able to save your friends and your family, wear masks and observe hand and respiratory hygiene until your result is out.
The PTF also provided answers to many questions bugging Nigerians, including time for reopening of schools.
It's not true that in 2 weeks' time, the schools will be opened.
Institutions and organized bodies are also urged to come up with strategies that best suit the operation within the COVID-19 era for review and approval. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
It is now crystal clear that the country is heading for an economic recession as projected by the National Bureau of Statistics as a result of the negative impacts of the coronavirus pandemic. But with the current fiscal stimulus plan to sustain the economy, this may be short-lived, and the federal government says it is as well committed to supporting the financial viability of states despite the dwindling revenue and foreign earnings. The World Bank is also proposing a plan of $1.5 billion for the 36 states of the Federation, which disbursement within the next 3 months will be based on performance of existing World Bank financed programs in such states. These were made known at a virtual meeting of the National Economic Council held Thursday. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
In March this year, when the governors who are members of this council were physically present at the presidential villa here to attend the meeting, discussions centered on the dwindling economy and the COVID-19 pandemic. Discussions today followed that line.
We're facing a very significant economic downturn, a type that we have not seen in the history of our country.
A very difficult and challenging times for the country indeed, as it is elsewhere across the world, not only on the economic aspect, but as Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed explains to the council, the health of the nation is also being affected as resources to fund the ravaging coronavirus pandemic is very expensive.
In the collapse in oil prices,
the impact of the pandemic on the economy, the minister says, is already showing on the nation's revenue and foreign exchange earnings. Net oil and gas revenue input to the Federation account in the first quarter of 2020 amounts to 940.91 billion naira, which represents a shortfall of 125.52 billion naira.
But with the work that the Economic Sustainability Committee is doing, bringing up a stimulus package, we believe that we can reduce the impact of that recession. And if we apply all that has been proposed and we're able to implement it, we might end up with a recession that is minus 0.4%. So in any case, we'll go into a recession. What we're trying to do is to make sure that it is shallow so that we'll be able to quickly pull out of it come 2021.
On the presentation to the Council by the Economic Sustainability Committee, headed by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, it's resolved that the next special committee on COVID-19 meets the Economic Sustainability Committee to further discuss the work and post-COVID-19 National Sustainability Plan.
At our last meeting with Mr. President, it was clear that the President was clear that the Governors Forum and the Presidential Task Force meet and agree on steps to be taken. And it has been discussed today also, and commitment has been taken.
The summary of it all is that using technology and the resilience of the Nigerian people, we will get through what we are going now, or what we're going through now, and of course we will take this country to a path of sustainable economic growth and development.
Council receives an update on polio eradication and support to community transmission of COVID-19, presented by the Minister of Health. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Edo State government has commenced the screening of traders ahead of its plan to reopen them for robust commercial activities. Government is also implementing the alternative market days arrangement jointly put in place by the state government and the leadership of the Edo State Market Women Association to maintain social and physical distancing. Goodluck Enaini has details.
Markets in Edo State were shut down on the 8th of April in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic, while traders who deal in foodstuff and other essential commodities were relocated to nearby primary schools. Within the period, the markets were fumigated in order to make them safe. Now, the markets are to reopen. The traders are being screened for the virus.
So they have categorized themselves along the product lines and the various commodities that they sell in the market. And we will run the alternate day business, market arrangement. So there are some classified as Group A who will come in on one day and the other Group B will come in on the other day, just to reduce the numbers in our market spaces and encourage social distance.
That commitment is very encouraging because they also want to make sure that those people who are involved in the business of trade are healthy and they don't expose themselves to any form of harm.
The leadership of the Markets Women Association in Edo is happy with the development.
We thank government, the work when they do so, that's why. If you get money now, person not well, it's not good.
Government hopes to extend similar measure to other unions such as the NURTW to ensure their safety. In Benin, good luck in Aini, NT News.
Now, for the first time in recent history, some Muslims across the globe will be marking the Eid al-Fitr without the usual congregational prayers due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In this report, Obeyo Tuba-Prasai examines the implications of celebrating the end of Ramadan during a pandemic.
During the last days of the Ramadan fast, Muslim faithful look forward to the sighting of the moon. It indicates the exact date of Eid al-Fitr. Muslims dressed in their very best converge for the 2 rakat prayers, either in mosques or designated prayer grounds. There are also many local family and community festivities. However, this year there are strong indications that the usual mood of Eid al-Fitr will be affected by the partial lockdown, ban in congregational worship of not more than 20 persons, and physical distancing directives.
We don't know how we can celebrate it. But what we heard from the Sultan is to pray indoors. But we are still waiting to the authority to hear if they can allow to do it for outside. But if there is no option, it's to pray for indoors.
David Irie reports that in Edo North, Islamic scholars believe that although history will be made this year without the congregational prayer, it, however, does not take away from the spirituality of the season.
Eid al-Fitr is not a compulsory salat, as it were, but it's a daily salat. Those people who know that sunrise, as the sun rises, you have to pray two rakats every morning as extra. It's not compulsory. It's the salat you make is not a burden on you, but it's an obligation because it is a simple thing.
Since there's a problem, there's a pandemic, it will make you to abstain from observing the Eid, prayers. So you come back home, gather your family, even the 3 of you or 4 of you, or more than that, and could you know that you are safe, you pray the Eid prayers. It's accepted.
Ayodeji Ogunshaki reports that Muslim scholars in Ado-Ekiti urge faithful to observe the Zakatul Fitri, as it will help to cushion the effect of the coronavirus pandemic on the less privileged in the society.
When we give out this Zakatul Fitri, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we use it as a make-up for some of the mistakes that we have committed in the matter of Ramadan.
This year's Eid al-Fitr celebration is expected to hold latest this week Sunday, after the sighting of the moon. In Benin, Obeyo Tuba-Prasai, NT News.
And joining me now in the studio is Sheikh Abdul Fattah Nabulele. He is the Chief Imam of Benin. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us on Panorama.
Thanks.
So how has it been this year's Ramadan? How has it been amidst COVID-19 pandemic, lockdown, restrictions?
Well, Alhamdulillah, we have to give thanks and glory to Almighty Allah, the Almighty God, for everything. Whatever situation you find yourself, you have to give thanks to him. So we are not complaining at all. We are very comfortable with the situation. We know what we are supposed to do to guide ourselves from this contagious pandemic. And the month of Ramadan is another opportunity for us to sit down again and reassess our conduct. So there is no problem at all. We are very happy, very comfortable. We have enjoyed the fasting so far. And we are waiting to celebrate the festival of Eid al-Fitr. And all things being equal, whether coronavirus or not, Allah is there to guide every one of us.
Okay, so how handy will Zakatul Fitri come at this time?
Today is the 29th day in the month of Ramadan. And as usual, based on the injunction of our Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, in giving us Zakat al-Fitr, there are two conditions: the permissible time and the preferred time. The permissible time is when it's 2 days to the end of the fasting, you begin to prepare and give out your Zakat al-Fitr. While the preferred time is the morning before you go to observe your 2 rakat prayers. And so we have done a lot of mobilization and sensitization, and people have started giving out their Zakat al-Fitr for the purpose of, cleansing some of our shortcomings, our sins that we committed, minor sins we committed during the month of Ramadan, and also for those less privileged ones in our society too, to have sense of belonging, like the poor, the needy, the orphans, the widows, the destitute, the sick, and those who are facing precarious situations, so that they will have a sense of belonging, so that when the rich and the privileged ones are also enjoying the salah, they too will have something to celebrate with. You give out this Zakat al-Fitr based on the most popular foodstuff in your environment. So the most popular foodstuff in your environment is what you are going to do, is 4 mudus for each person. If you have 2 wives and 10 children, for example, you have to give each of them for 4 mudus.
But as much as possible, the celebration will be scaled down, not too much fanfare, just go drop it.
In Islam, we have our own systematic method of celebrating now. We don't, when we are celebrating in Islam, we don't use it to inconvenience other people. Have you seen us shooting a knockout? We do it in a very mature and systematic method. We don't inconvenience others at all. So the celebration will still go on. Whether COVID-19 or no COVID-19.
Okay, so are other Islamic festivals going to be affected?
No, I think so.
Are you seeing that?
We are fasted. At this stage now, we are going to give out our Zakat al-Fitr. Then the final stage is for us to observe our 2 rakat prayers. Because of the contagious pandemic, which is ravaging the whole world, creating fear, anxiety, and panicking. So in Edo State here, for example, the governor has advised that the congregation should not be more than 20. So in our Eid Grand at Ikobasto, for example, the congregation there is thousands in numbers.
Yes.
And there is no way we can control the crowd. And we don't want this virus to spread. So we have to understand, take the advice of the government and the advice of the medical experts too, for us to stay clear. We, based on also what the Sultan of Sokoto also said, is eminent, that we should our 2 rakats at home or in the mosque. So for those who can observe their own in their houses, it is very good. But there should be physical distancing, wearing of your face mask and the rest of them, and washing your hands with the soap and sanitizer.
Okay.
Then,
so it has been a very challenging experience. So what should Muslims and everyone in the world learn from this experience?
First of all, we must understand that there is a divine being controlling the universe. That is the Almighty God, the Almighty Allah. Some of us will not believe that there is God. With this now, they will understand that there is God. Some of us who are always committing sin, behaving arrogantly, wicked, showing wickedness to our fellow human beings, they should also know that there is a day of accountability. So this is just a virus. People are panicking. So God has the power to destroy the whole world. So that is all of us should understand. So we should be very careful. We should be mindful of our conduct and how we behave on this earth. Because no condition is permanent.
That's true.
So we should be very careful and we should fear God, be mindful of come in. Obey rules and regulations. Whatever I say we should do them. Whatever I say we shouldn't do, we should run away from them. So that when we meet him, he will have mercy on us.
Yeah, thank you very much and congratulations for a successful fast. Sheikh Abdul Fattah Nabulele is the Chief Imam of Benin. All right, at this point, we take a break. Panorama continues shortly.
Fellow Nigerians, follow the instructions on social distancing. The irresponsibility of the few can lead to the death of many. Your freedom ends where other people's rights begin. The security agencies have risen to the challenges posed by this unprecedented situation with gallantry, and I commend them. I urge them to continue to maintain utmost vigilance, firmness, as well as restraint in enforcing the restriction orders while not neglecting statutory security responsibilities.
The world is rife with evidence that the coronavirus pandemic has given nature a little respite to rejuvenate and breathe by forcing man to stay indoors. Coming back out will therefore require that humans learn to cohabit the earth with other creatures to sustain the delicate balance of nature. This sums up the thrust of World Biodiversity Day, celebrated this year with the theme, Our Solution is in Nature. Onengie Fineface reports.
In politics and elections, there is no break. Having break means invitation for constitutional crisis. And since the constitution is blind to coronavirus, the tenure of the governor of Edo State ends on the 11th of November 2020, while Ondo State ends on the 23rd of February 2021. So, the elections must go on. But this is a moment of history that is unique, so the guidelines have to be adjusted. The timetables are out for Edo and Ondo already, and there are no alterations even in the face of the striking COVID-19.
The Commissioner speaks Saturday, 19th September 2020, at the date for the governorship election in Edo State, and Saturday, 10th October 2020 for Ondo State.
In Edo, for instance, notice of election is on the 1st of June. Collection of forms is 2nd. Conduct of party primaries is from 2nd to 27th of June. Campaigns start from the 21st of June. Submission of candidates June 29, while Ondo will start its notice of election on the 1st of July. Collection of forms on the 2nd, party primaries 2nd to 25th of July. Campaigns start from the 13th of July. Submission of candidates is 28th, while the election day is 10th of October.
The violence during party primaries and electioneering campaigns are acts punishable under our electoral laws.
INEC is thinking deep and fast to conduct the elections in line with the compulsory new traditions set by COVID-19. So, a policy document covering health, legal, elections, planning and operations will be out on Monday, 25th of May, 2020, while series of meetings from the 30th to June 3rd with stakeholders to acquaint them with the policy document. Besides the 2 governorship elections, 9 by-elections in 7 states will also be seeking INEC's attention. Though no date yet for those elections, but because of constitutional exigencies, they may come up before the election day of Edo and Ondo governorship polls. However, following the due registration of some political parties on the 6th of February 2020, only 18 political parties will participate in those elections. Mie Ogidi, NT News.
Mayor Ogidi there telling us some of the plans INEC is putting in place to successfully conduct elections, that's from 1st of June when the political gates in Edo and Ondo State will open for the contest for the #1 seats in the states. And we now go back to our earlier report where we told you that the world is rife with evidence that the coronavirus pandemic has given nature a little respite to rejuvenate and breathe by forcing man to stay indoors. Coming back out would therefore require that humans learn to cohabit the earth with other creatures to sustain the delicate balance of nature. This sums up the thrust of the World Biodiversity Day celebrated this year with the theme, Our Solution is in Nature. Onengie Fineface has that.
Resting under the shade of a tree is soothing and comforting. And that is because the tree provides a shade against the elements of nature. Now, having development alongside conservation of nature is what World Biodiversity Day seeks to achieve, a sense of conservative consumption of nature.
Insects like bees, mammals like bats, and primates like monkeys and squirrels, they carry out pollination for us without us paying them. If you do not have nature, our very survival is threatened.
COVID-19 induced lockdown across the world taught humanity that a healthy environment is possible. Wildlife, long unseen, appeared in the most unexpected of places, reminding man that they too are part of the earth and have the right to exist.
Most of the oxygen we consume as humans is produced by these trees in this forest. If we destroy the forest, we are starving ourselves of oxygen. We'll be killing ourselves.
Studies from the United Nations indicate that around 60% of all infectious diseases in humans and 75% of all emerging infectious diseases are zoonotic. That is, they get to humans through animals.
There's a link between COVID and wild animals. And when you destroy the habitat of a given species, in the process of handling that species, there could be transfer of one virus or the other to the human.
The theme for 2020 is Our Solutions Are in Nature, and this applies also to COVID-19.
COVID-19 has shown us that a little respite for the environment goes a long way, reducing our emissions, our pollution levels, protecting our nature, and allowing the nature to breathe.
A healthy ecosystem provides water, food, medicines, clothes, fuel, shelter, and energy for humanity. All reasons for mankind to protect biological diversity. In Abuja, Onengie Fineface, NTA News.
That's Panorama today. It reached you from the Benin Network Center. Thank you for watching and good afternoon.
Nigeria, a nation of great people. Different tribes and languages, yet we are united in our diversity. All over the world, Nigerians are known to be very hardworking and resilient people. In our history as a nation, there have been many storms, but just like the eagle, we always soar very high above the storms. Together, as a nation, we stood against Ebola virus disease in 2014, and we conquered. Together as a nation, we shall stand against COVID-19, and we shall surely triumph. Let's do our part as citizens, obey the health authorities, stay at home, practice social distancing and proper hygiene. When this is over, and very soon it will be, we shall dance again at the Calabar Carnival, the Eyo Festival, Celebration, Ojude-Oba Festival, and Aragongo Festival. When this is over, and very soon it will, we shall flock the beaches again. We shall attend our music concerts again. We shall invite the world once again at the Lagos City Marathon. When this is over, and very soon it will be, we can return to our hustle and bustle. We will gather at our churches and mosques. We shall return to our schools and institutions. Our hope is alive. We are Nigeria. and together we shall rise again. Nigeria Film Corporation, powering possibilities.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Sheer adventurism is driving me to go deep into the Onyama mines. It is the biggest coal mine in the whole of South. Well, the coronation of the new Oni is a watershed in the history of the Yoruba land generally, and Ife in particular. Now, because they have a leader now, that will... Simply put, Gura is a beautiful countryside with awesome landscapes. Differently will be done to the Nigerian textile industries, that our youth will be employed. Many people that attend the church here can tell you. Service in Holy Arosa is in Benin. We are taking a canoe tour of the communities on the bank of River Niger in Kesu. The day was a Saturday. We were on the road early enough to catch up with the build-up to Quarter Market. Early as we were, several were ahead of us. Multitudes are on their way. Quarter Market is both popular and different. From the onset, Quarter Market in Shiroro local government area of Niger State stands out as the only one of its kind in the whole of northern Nigeria. The market is nowhere near formal human settlement. It is in the wilderness of Shiroro country. It has no permanent base. It is a riverside market that is subject to the movement of a tributary of Niger River along Shiroro. The market thrives on products brought by over 100 communities that are along the river: fish, livestock, wood and grains. The riverine communities have no means of access to the outside world than by water. But build up to the market begins early morning. It is initiated by people coming to the market from all over the north and beyond, either as traders, middlemen or buyers. Because of the makeshift nature of the market, there are no permanent market stalls. The market stalls are made up of collapsibles, which can be relocated immediately. Morning does not give a picture of what the afternoon will look like in this market. The attendance is ready. There are, however, a group of women who told us they were on the market since 5 o'clock in the morning.
I'm waiting for fish. I want to buy fish.
From where?
From Kota Shiroroda.
Okay, where is the fish coming? Because I've not seen any sign of fish anyway.
After, they are coming on the road.
They are coming by boat? How long have you been coming to this market? How long have you been coming to this market?
Since how many years? More than 30 years ago. We are here. More than.
So if you buy the fish, you sell them all?
If I buy the fish, I sell the fish. Some I will sell it for here. Some I will carry it for go for bush market.
Okay, where are you coming from?
I'm coming from Zumba.
The riverine communities do not begin to arrive at the market until around 10 in the morning. The atmosphere at Bipozen is such that all eyes are on them to begin arriving. The market has no soul without them. Scarcely can the agitation be performed on sighting the first boat to this market. It put the traders right on edge.
This is perhaps the very first arrival from the water side. And many people are telling us here that as the day progresses, hundreds of them will be coming. Big ships, small boats, and all such like. So that is just it. So let us see what these people are coming with.
The boat was received with a swarm. A mad rush ensued by the waiting traders to intercept its cargo of fish. Those waiting women who arrived since 5 o'clock in the morning were joined by many others. Hardly were the boat passengers given room to disembark. The first arrival spice of the market. Active trading in fish begins. The river bank is getting busier. There is a sequence to the manner boats arrive this market. The smaller boats carrying mostly fish and people will be the first to arrive. The middle tier boats, mostly conveying fish, wood and people, then follow suit.
Well, this is a bigger arrival. And from the contents of it, you can see that it contains a lot of fish, which means the struggle for the fish will continue. Well, that is how it is going to be all day long. And in fact, buyers are all over.
It turned out that this larger boat carried not only fish, but also wood. It anchored at the base where those traders who deal on fish only gather. The same scenario played out. When the boat is done with the fish zone, it navigates to wood section, another major area of trading activity to download its cargo. Quarter market is semi-specialized. It abides in the products the riverine communities could bring, and they are subject-specific: fish, wood, livestock, and grains. Each of these commodities have a definite location in the market where extensive trading in them takes place. From the manner the products keep arriving from the waterway, it is easy to conclude that those riverine communities are abundantly endowed. To think of fish first, before noon, over 30 boats arrive, all either fully loaded with fish or with rich fish cargo appendages. In time, the market becomes such a big basket of fish and different species. The riverine communities do have a rich art of fish smoking too. Over 95% of the fish that arrive the market arrive smoked. Only a paltry 5 to 10% arrive fresh. While still on the subject of fish, there are various layers of buyers and sellers. The fish is mostly brought by women to the market. Many of these women have ready-made customers who immediately on arrival sell to wholesale. There are many of these women who retail their fish too. They put down their stock and wait for the customers.
Well, you can see an active trading activity going on here as people are coming to haggle purchase of fish from Mama Inusa. Mama Inusa, incidentally, is one of the people that are bringing the fish from the township. So we shall ask her. Mama Inusa. Mama Inusa. No. Good morning. Good afternoon. No, good morning, sir. They tell me you're one of the people that are bringing fish from this side, ba? For how long have you been doing this trade?
One buyer.
I agree. For how long? Mama Inusa, tell me, for how long have you been doing this business?
No,
Well, Mama Yunus has no time for me because the business is engaging.
There are categories of people too who arrive the market from different parts of the country to purposely buy fish here. They travel the distance because, in the words of some, the fish here is cheap, big, and most delicious.
What keeps this market alive are hundreds of people that are coming from various parts of this country to buy fish and other items of trade that this market could provide. People like Abubakar Sadiq here, who incidentally is living close by. But then he told me that for the last 10 years he has been coming to this market to buy fish and other items. Malam Abubakar Sadiq.
You're welcome, Sunday reporter.
Thank you very much. You told me that you have been coming to this market for how long?
I'm actually from Mina. When I was even from Suleja, I used to come here and buy fish very, very cheap. But as time goes on now, the fish that we used to buy as the rest of 1,200 here is now getting to 8,000, 7,000, 10,000. We don't know what happened.
Okay. So there is fish, but
there is fish actually even up to date. There is fish, but before when I used to come here from about 1 to 10 years, the cheap was very, very cheap. But presently the fish is now high. We don't know what the situation happened.
Do you buy the fish to resell or do you buy it for your
actually I used to buy it for my own domestic use with myself, my wife and children.
Okay.
Just to go and eat, not to sell it.
But this market, you are close by. I've never seen a market like this one. This is not in town, it is on a riverside.
Actually, this market, river area, people come from Kaduna, people come from various places to come and buy items here. They come various places on Saturday. When you stay here later, you see a cow, dog, goat, and other things.
Livestock?
Yes, livestock.
But the account of workers said this market must have been very, very old indeed. But like I told you, its major feature is the fact that it is not in town. It is on a riverside.
Various places used to come here, various people.
Various people, and it's a makeshift market. As the river comes in, the market shifts. As the river comes in, the market shifts.
There are middlemen too. People from various parts of the country whose life is to come to this market, buy from the direct suppliers and resell at the market.
Ni mai saye in sayar ne.
Kana sayar da mutanen sai kawowa. Tun shekara kana kake wannan aikin ma baba?
Kai shekarun sun yi yawa. Ban rasa kai shekara 35 ina wannan kasuwanci.
Kuma anan wurin?
Kuma anan.
To shi ya tsarin kasuwancin yake kifi da kake saye kana da wata sana'a banda kifin? Me kake yi?
Ina sayen kifi, ina sayen doya, ina kawo dabbobi ma ina saya.
Kana saye. To an ka saya
other market on later days.
Ina saya anan in an saya shikenan in ba a saya ba zan je wani wuri da wata kasuwa in saya.
Madam, they told me you came from Mina. Okay, you are buying fish. Do you buy to sell or do you buy to eat?
No, I buy to sell.
Okay, so you are buying in bulk. Okay, it is.
Sometimes I sell for you. They're not selling it. I have to carry and go in and sell.
Okay, so you can. Buyers do come here and buy, but you are buying from an agent. Why won't you buy from the people that are bringing it directly?
She cannot get it. Even though I get customer for this, I buy that one. No go do me. I ask for this way.
Okay, but you break even. At the end of the day, you get something. For how long have you been doing the business?
Almost 7 years.
If you are at the river side of this market, you may conclude that it is only a fish market. By 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the boats are arriving in numbers, fully loaded. Not a single boat arrived the market though without a cargo of fish. At a point I fear, the market may not mop up the fish supply. At any rate, fish is the most prominent item of trade in the market. Kwata market has come a long way. By the admission of many of its patrons and beneficiaries, it was therefore as long as they know. Nobody could give figures, no estimates.
Well, midday is the time when Kwata market is gaining momentum. But there is something special about it, like I've told you. The critical thing about this place is that the over 100 communities that are around this place, they do not have access road. So they have to come by water. And because the items of trade that they do, or the trade that they do, is so important to their lives, people from all over the states are coming to buy. Firstly, I have a friend here, Mr. Friday Ogoke. Mr. Friday, although an Igbo man, Friday has been born and bred in this place. That's right.
Yes.
So you are more or less like the product, the son of the soil.
The son of the soil.
Okay, you told me, say you are born in this place?
Yes.
And that's that you are almost 25 years by my estimation.
Yes, sir. 26.
26.
Yes.
And for how long have you been coming to this market?
Since my primary 6 or primary 5.
Oh, okay. You come to buy fish or you to sell?
In those days, we used to come and, just like other people come to the market to see the market, just to do 1 or 2 minute jobs with the market, because this is only source of income that most of us, as a youth, we are not working. So this is the place where we spend most of our time to work, to carry load, to do other things.
Okay, so you carry load and do other things to get some small money.
Yes.
And this market.
Why we are in secondary school in those days, at least, this is the only place we come out to do 1 or 2 things to help ourselves.
Okay. So now you come to the market still?
But for now, things have changed for good.
Yeah, obviously.
So I'm no longer doing those Mina job again. I'm there, over there in Mina. So, but now I come to buy fish for myself.
Okay, so now you're a big man now. So instead of you doing work for people who buy fish, now you are buying the fish for your own.
For myself, because since I know the route at which, before you buy fish, this one we get it, you have to buy from this person's hand before you will.
There are middlemen.
Yeah, there are middlemen. So many middlemen. So me, I know the means at which I will buy my own fish without any middlemen.
Okay, so you can buy direct and cheaper.
Yes.
But you say the people around this area, you said how many communities do you?
About 100 communities. About close to 100 or thereabouts communities.
And they say they don't have access road. Oh, what? Tell me, for all those.
There's no access road to go to that place now. There's no access road, only with waterway.
Okay, so you told me a story about their children. You say all the children who are coming to school, you say they have to come and board a place. They don't do day school.
Yes, most of about 80 to 90% of their children schooled here. There's a place they call Zumba Shiroro. So in that place, that is, they have primary, nursery, secondary. So most of the majority of the children, to have a better education, they come to this place, to school, and they will have a place where the mother or the parent will rent a house for them and lodge them there. Every Saturday they will come to this place to collect food stuff. Every Saturday, just to sustain the children.
And it still works
up to tomorrow. So many of them are here.
Thank you very much, Friday, the son of the soil. So can you speak Igbo now?
I can speak Igbo very well.
Okay. So your parents taught you Igbo, and you can speak Hausa or Gwari.
Very well. I can write Hausa.
You can write Hausa.
Very well.
So it's like you will not go back to Enugu.
No, I don't come to Enugu.
At a point in our coverage, I had to just stick to the river side to marvel at how the boats keep arriving from the wilderness of these waters. At some moment, I feared that the market will close and the boats have not stopped coming. In the meantime, I can see Mama Yunusa is less busy now.
See, Mama Yunusa, the other time she could not talk to me because she was busy selling out her fish. Now she's much more relaxed. Her money is right there in her bag. Yes, Mama Yunusa, you don't want to share your money with me. Okay, Mama Yunusa, come. Tell me, where are you coming from? I can see you coming from this. How many kilometers from this place? How many hours do you spend to come to this place?
Only 1 hour.
1 hour. And this is what you do every week?
Yes, every market I come.
And you sell?
I sell the fish, I go buy mineral fish and pass them.
Now your family, they do the fishing, or now you they do the fishing?
My children go for market school.
Your children, they school? Yes. So where do you buy the fish? Where do you get the fish? Where do you get the fish?
For the net, now.
Okay, you are doing the fishing?
Yes.
When the much bigger boats begin arriving in the market, their cargo is no less sure.
Well, midday is the time when the big canoes arrive the market. And when they come, you can be amazed at their content. No small boats can carry the content they carry. And just to wonder that it's just a wooden canoe. And just you can look at them now as they arrive. Inside them you will find cattle, you will find grains, you will find other livestock, and of course you will find fish. How interesting.
The The big boats are long, sleek and chic. They mostly bring grains and livestock to the market. To imagine they also bring tens of cows. I just wonder, should these big beasts decide to be unruly midstream, what will be the consequence? Yet, they are brought to the market while they remain sober and somewhat docile throughout the trip. Most of the cows that are brought to the market are young. There are no fully grown bulls, no fat cow matriarchs. It may be the cattle market think of only those who rear the animals.